told him minimal.
No, this is a big.
Remember Pat Stiff, married Yogi?
Yeah.
She's in horrible, horrible health in Florida. Yeah, horrible health. Yogi's been dead probably 20, 25 years, I guess. And, or maybe. And we got what I thought was a Christmas card from her. Simpson, I'd like to welcome you to the January 26th Code Enforcement and Nuisance Board meeting, City Hall Commission Chambers. I'd like to call to order. Roll call, please.
Deere, Simpson,
Here.
Dearbone,
Here.
Wilder,
Here.
Thomas.
Alrighty, I trust everyone's seen a copy of the August 22nd meeting. Are there any changes to that meeting?
I approve that they recommend that they be approved as presented.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Wilder, Deere, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder.
Yes.
All right. Couple of announcements. One, we will go into closed session at the end of our regular session for a brief little update. I'd like to welcome our fellow police officers tonight. Thank you for coming. And also tonight we'll vote in the chair and vice chair for 2018. I understand that I will be finishing this session at least, right? Okay.
Yes, correct.
So, do we have any nomination on the floor for chairman for 2018?
I nominate Delane Simpson to be chair.
I'll second that.
Jack's not here, you know. He's eligible to be elected. All right, I guess we have a vote on that, right? Okay, please vote yea or nay.
Okay, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Abstain.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. All righty, now
We want to go ahead and do the vice chair or keep that, can we keep that the same? Okay, we'll just keep it the same.
that would be my suggestion. We keep the same
Sounds
vice
good.
chair, which
Okay.
is Brother Randy Deere here.
Right.
All right. Now, do we have our new animal control officer here?
No, we do not.
Do what?
Not tonight, we do not.
All right, next time we'll get to meet our new animal control officer, Mary Hudson. All right, let's move it right along to the hearing agenda and appeals. And here comes Brother Jack.
Gentlemen, lady.
Good. And
I'm here.
Counselor, you didn't have to remind me to have to swear anybody in because we're fixing to do that. All righty. Let's swear you folks in, please. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. You're on your toes tonight. We have no parking citations, so we can move right into our case number 1 under code enforcement. Case 2017-8835, citation 2017-10455.1, 1247 Stubbins Street. Owner Joseph Benjamin Harrison, care of Derek Harrison, respondent Craig Harrison, and Brad is the officer. We have citation fees outstanding of $803.81. Brad.
Case is the result of a roaming inspection that was conducted on the 10th of November of 2017. During the inspection, I noted the following violations. Dangerous building that was vacant with broken and boarded windows, extensive rotting wood and peeling paint, a vacant structure not maintained in good repair, fence on the property not maintained in good repair or structurally sound, multiple broken, boarded, and missing windows, areas of peeling, flaking, chipping paint, and holes in exterior walls with rotting wood. The roof did not appear to be maintained in good repair, sound, or tight, and a lack of duty of maintenance of private property in addition to being a dilapidated structure. A notice of violation was sent to both property owners as determined by the city's legal department, which I'll elaborate on shortly, as well as the PVA listed address on that date with a compliance reinspection of the 11th of December. In addition to the standard notice of violation, a letter was also written and sent to both parties explaining the circumstances of the property, the case, and requesting progress towards compliance or to contact our office to avoid further action. On the 12th of December, I re-inspected and found the property to still be in violation. The pictures that you're looking at now are from when the notice of violation was sent. Before we show the citation pictures, you see the exterior walls are characterized by the rotting wood and holes and peeling paint. Again, the structure has been vacant for some time. It's also got boarded windows. And Tim, if you go to the citation pictures. A citation was issued on the 11th of December. Was posted on the property as well as sent by first-class mail to Craig Harrison and certified mail to Derek Harrison per the city's legal department. Photographs were taken of the citation of property at the time it was posted, and the compliance date on the citation was the 22nd of December, which was since postponed due to the filed appeal. The pictures you see on the screen there are from when the citation was posted. Again, the structure is largely characterized by peeling, flaking, chipping paint, rotting wood, and holes in the exterior structure, boarded broken windows, so on and so forth. In order to properly inform the board of the history of this case, I have a timeline. Tim, I don't know if you can pull that up or not. I believe the board was provided that ahead of time. I believe that it illustrates this case a little bit better as far as how long we've been dealing with this property in question. Well, Joseph Benjamin Harrison, who is the listed property owner, was designated by the board as a repeat offender in February of 2016. Prior to that, in 2015, Code Enforcement Officer Mo Hillard had started a case for the exterior protective treatment violations that we just discussed as far as the peeling paint and the walls and roof issues. During that case in 2015, between August and October, she issued 3 citations due to no compliance on the property. The case was closed due to weather, and shortly thereafter, December 3rd of 2016, is when the owner, Benjamin Harrison, had passed away. The property then entered into probate. However, due to ongoing deterioration of the property, on June 7th of 2017, case 2017-5260 was opened, and again included all the exterior violations. Tim, yeah, if you go to the PowerPoint one. Yeah, there you go. So again, to recap, that was the case that was opened June 7th of 2017. As that case was going along, I had been communicating with Craig Harrison. The property was still in probate at that time until we were notified in November 8th of 2017 by the city's legal department that that property was no longer in probate as of the 24th of August of 2017. Therefore, 2 days later, on the 10th of November of 2017, the other case was closed and a new case was opened. A separate, brand new notice of violation was sent out, as well as a cover letter to both Craig Harrison and Derek Harrison, who the city's legal department identified as being the 2-part owners once the probate was settled out. Again, on the 11th of December, there was no compliance or communication, and so the property, still being in violation, a citation was issued. Just to recap the timeline as far as how long this property has been a blight on the community and on the street that it's located, as of the day that citation was issued, which was December 11th, it was 942 days since that first case was opened by Mo in 2015. It was 227 days since I had started the case in June and was communicating with Craig Harrison, and 69 days since that current case had been opened. The appeal was filed then 3 days later on the 14th of December, stating that there wasn't adequate time given and that the new property owner is not the one who caused the violations. So again, this property, this is not new information to the prior owner or the new co-owners of the property. In addition, Tim, if you could pull up the letter that was sent with the notice of violation. In addition to sending the regular notice of violation with great detail as far as what was in violation, a separate letter was sent. Tim, it might be in the NOV file. If you go to the... No, that's the legal memo. If you go to, there you go. So a letter was sent, which I'll go over just briefly. And again, this was sent to both Craig and Derek Harrison, so that there was no miscommunication or misunderstanding, since again this case had been going on for quite some time. Letter states, encloses a notice of violation for the property listed above. Property is characterized by numerous code violations and has been in this state for an extended period of time. Property is dilapidated, vacant, and considered to be a dangerous building by definition of code. Mr. Craig Harrison has been made aware of the violations and had an appropriate and extended amount of time to bring the property into compliance. It's been brought to the attention of our office, again, through probate court, that the estate was settled out to both Craig and Derek. So this letter, in addition to a normal notice of violation, was to inform both owners that the property must be brought into compliance or show evidence of significant and measurable progress towards compliance by the date listed, or to communicate with our office. So again, that's why the citation was issued. There is still no progress, and as today, you see the pictures from when the citation, or I'm sorry, the citation issued pictures. We can show you pictures from today that the property still remains in violation.
Have there been any reports of incidents or accidents or people getting hurt around that property? It looks like it's a big-time hazard.
Well, as far as the definition of code is concerned, it is. It's considered a dangerous building by
Right.
being vacant with the code issues that it has on the exterior of it, especially for this amount of time. I don't have information on that, but I
Right.
could get it back to you as far as
I know.
police or fire calls.
No utilities.
I do believe that utilities are on in both this structure and the other structure. Mr. Craig Harrison had those turned on while he was doing initial work in 1370 Stubbins, which is the other property we'll talk about after this case. But I do believe that the utilities are turned on to this property.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Mr. Harrison, present? Need to swear you in, sir. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You got the microphone.
There's not much to say except I didn't own the property till August 29th. My brother and I both have been working toward to get it fixed. It's just it's the amount of time. I mean, you just can't do a complete house remodel in a few months on a limited income. So,
Was it your father that passed away?
yeah.
Sorry for that. So you've been aware of this property for a long time before even he passed away?
Right, but my obligation as far as fixing the property wasn't until after August 29th, until I owned the property. My father was an alcoholic. I let him do what he wanted to do, and this is a 10, 15-year process of what happened to this house. Since then, since August 29th, or since he passed away, only improvements have been made on the property. None of the violations that he listed have occurred since I've had the house, since he passed away.
But you do know it's your responsibility.
Right, and that's what I have been doing.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
What's your plan, your goal for this property?
To fix the house
When?
completely.
When?
Well, as I get this house fixed, and there's 5 properties. As 2 of the other properties, 2 of them are rented. I have three rented right now. As I collect money from them, that money goes into this house and then the one on the corner. So it's just a matter of accumulating wealth and then spending that wealth on these houses.
So you have, 3 other rental properties?
There's 4 houses and 1 apartment house with 4 units.
Well, you're a landlord? Okay,
Slumlord.
all right. Board have any questions?
How long do you think it's going to take before you can make some at least significant progress?
Well, that's all. I mean, to me, I have made progress. Maybe not to you all, but you didn't see that. I don't know, the very last picture you showed, that dumpster that's out there right now, that's my 3rd dumpster. There's a yellow dumpster out there, a 30 by 30 yard dumpster. That's my 3rd one since he passed away. So to me, that is significant progress. When you fill up 2 dumpsters 30 cubic yard dumpsters, and I'm on my third one right now, which is about a quarter of the way full, sitting out there today. So the first part is demo, removing wood. That outside building, I've got it stripped down to the studs, except for the floor. The floor's coming out next. Once I make some progress, then I can start rebuilding. The demo is the hardest part for me. Rebuilding is the easy part. I mean, it's not like new construction where you're just building a new house. That's easy. I'm doing twice the work, which is demo and then rebuilding. But, you know, I could go get a contractor's estimate and, you know, 6 months to a year at $20,000, but I'm not to that point yet where I can go take out a loan. I have to have some income coming in, and I need from the other houses, which I'm also trying to repair at the same time, and you know, maybe go to the bank and get a loan for these houses. But I have to have them to a certain point where I'm not paying for someone to come in and tear some drywall down when I can do that myself. So, you know, if you want a time frame, 2 years, and this house will be rentable, as nice as any house on the street.
That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
I mean, I don't know how you calculate your time frames. Because I know I've seen houses they've been working on for 2 or 3 years at a time around town.
It looks to me, I'm not a contractor, but what I see, it looks to me like this is a total rebuild.
No, it's not. The foundation is solid. That house has been there for 100 years. That foundation is solid as any house on that street or any house within 2 miles of that house. That foundation is solid as any. If you're going to tear down houses, you'd have to tear down the whole neighborhood based on foundations. The foundation is where I start at with a house anyway. If the foundation was unrepairable, sure, tear it down. But there's nothing wrong with that foundation. I've been under that house several times.
What do you do for a living?
It's solid.
What do you do for a
I
living?
work at a factory in Franklin,
Okay.
and I've done repair work my whole life. So I work 40 to 50 hours a week, plus the other 20 or 30 up here.
How long did your dad own the property?
Since late 80s, early or mid 80s.
And how many years did it take to deteriorate? You said, would you say 10?
Probably 20 years
20
for
years,
that
okay.
to occur.
And at no point anybody stepped in to say, hey, you need to...
Well, yeah, I mean, but there's not, I mean, if someone's an alcoholic, you can tell them to quit drinking every day, but that's their choice.
Father owned all of these properties?
He
that
owned
you now-
all 5
You and
properties.
your brother now share
Right.
ownership in, right? And in 4 months, all of your work has been in this one house?
No, it's been split between 4 houses. Or,
Okay.
yeah, pretty much 4 houses.
Most of the work, I assume, has been on the inside, right? Or
A lot of the work has been on the inside, yeah. That's where 2 of the dumpsters have come from, and that's where the third one's coming from right now. Clearing them out, just gutting them. So
you do have utilities currently operating?
utilities and gas and electric are both on. I got the gas turned off at the meter because I haven't been using any heat, but the electric I be used every day. So I'm up here every day I have off. I'm up here. So some days I get work done, some days I don't.
Sir, you're kind of caught between a catch-22 here, I think, in my opinion, because you're caught between the board. We have to address the fines and the citations as they are today, and it's upon you to be able to rectify these citations. And as you know, the time frame is really pretty non-negotiable. I mean, our board has been pretty good about allowing people if they show progress, but on this, 960-something days, although I know you didn't, I realized that it was in probate, you just received the property and all that. But again, you get the property when it, as it is. This is under repeat offender status also, which came from, I guess, your father. So you inherited that, which poses other issues. That's the reason the fine is so high at this point. And I mean, unless you can get something done here pretty quick, I mean, this is a real issue with this.
Well, I mean, like I said, I didn't commit any of these violations. In
I
fact,
understand
I've done
that.
the opposite.
Right.
I've been
We
riveting.
understand that.
Okay.
We understand
I just
that,
wanna
and
be
we
clear on
understand
that
that you come here in good faith.
Right.
We understand that you came here in good faith to try to rectify that.
Right.
So with that understood, if you look at the things that need to be done, it's going to take a while to get this done.
And that's what remodeling has always taken a while. I mean, I don't want to cite examples around town, but there's all kinds of examples of really beautiful homes that were paint chipping and disrepair that now are very pretty homes. The Mayor Elaine Walker has 2 of them right down there on Center Street, or she sold the one across from her, but her house was pretty rough, and now it's a beautiful home. But I know for a fact she worked on that because I drove past it every day for 3 years that she worked on that, or had work done on it. And there's similar homes like that around. And that's a Victorian-style structure. I've seen several of them around town. Some of them are beautiful homes, and some of them are closer to that. But I'm not trying to make it a historic, beautiful home. I'm just going to try to get it back to a nice house.
Harrison, the the appeal that you wrote, or part of it, is, I'll quote from you, not one violation by city ordinance, state law, or any law has been committed by me. Counselor, I think that it doesn't matter. Am I correct in that?
Problem that we have in this one is, as I understand where we started, is because it was his dad's property when, at that time, we can't go back. But now, even though he did not do it, this is the condition it's in, yes, he is responsible for it.
I understand my responsibilities. That's what I've been doing, is taking care of my responsibilities.
To answer your question, Mr. Tubb, yes, he is responsible, even though he didn't do it. He's the owner.
There hasn't been any violations that occurred since I've owned it, and there won't be, well, except for the ones that occur that are there present right now. Those won't all be there a year from now or 2 years from now. There won't be any violations.
And I think the thing is, yes, you have not created any violations, but you've basically inherited the previous violations, and unfortunately,
It's kind of like saying my dad got a speeding ticket and I got to pay the fine.
more or less. You know, it's one of those things where you are, if I'm incorrect, counsel, please, am I, but yeah, it's one of those things where even though you don't have, you're not to blame, and you can't fix this overnight, you're going to be held accountable for.
Right, and that's
previous,
fine.
yeah.
Hold me accountable for the next 2 years, but you can't expect a full remodel in 6 months. Not when there's other houses around town who have taken 2 or 3 years or more.
That's not the issue tonight, though.
Well, it's a matter of time for me. I mean, I understand the issues with the house.
How much money is it going to take to renovate this house or do what has to be done?
Well, as far as estimates go, I don't, I can't put that down on paper until I'm ready really to start rebuilding. I'm still in the process of tearing out. Once I get everything cleared up, then I can say, hey, come in here and give me an estimate on how much, it's going to cost to replace this floor. Then he's going to give me an estimate, and I'll say, well, what if I do this, then how much? What if I put the subfloor down, you come in and lay the flooring? When I have whatever money I have to go toward, rebuilding the house is going to go toward that. All the money I've had has went into these houses. So
How about your brother? Is he participating equally?
he's in Florida. He lives in Florida.
Is he participating equally with you?
He's told me that basically we're going to split it 60-40, and I do the renovation work, and then if we ever sell, then we'll just split it 60-40 since I'm doing most of the work.
And he's going to help pay the fine and all that type stuff that will keep accumulating until we get something done.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have any money to pay any fines, so what will happen is you'll have to file a lien against the house, and it'll just be liened on till the lien falls off 15 years later. But I mean, I wasn't planning on selling the house. It's been there 100 years. I plan on keeping it until I die.
We don't know about the financial stability
Yeah.
of your brother. You probably
Right.
do. Is he not in a position with his financial status to execute some kind of a loan where you can?
Yeah,
get this
and
taken-
that is, I mean, I've thought about that several times, but we're not to that point yet.
Well, you've had the responsibility for this house for the past 4 months, and you've made some progress, you've indicated. I don't know how much progress you've made, 10%, 5%, 20%. I don't know how you'd evaluate that. But at the rate that you're going, and with your statement that it's going to take 2 years to put this back in this house, these two houses back in compliance, that just seems to be awfully taking advantage of ordinances and that sort of thing.
I don't see that. I see the opposite of that.
What about your neighbors? I mean, these two houses, I wouldn't want to live next to a house like this.
Actually, I've gotten compliments from the neighbors since the people who were in that house, my dad was an alcoholic, and the ones who were coming around him to use his money, they're not there anymore. They're all gone. And in fact, the house across the street, I had a police officer who I see at the gym said that they were called to the house across the street, which I also own, over 60 times in 1 year. The year before this, or 2015. And there hasn't been any calls to city police for that house anymore because I got rid of some people. And the house 1370 had a shed in the back which vagrants were staying in, and I've demolished it. So actually, the people around there appreciate that there's not a bunch of people coming around bumming money off dad and a bunch of alcoholics and thieves and robbing, stealing, whatever. It's quieter. Actually, it's a lot nicer over there now. I don't feel threatened anymore. When I used to go visit Dad and there was 3 or 4 people on the porch, I was packing a crowbar or a bat because I didn't know any of these people. I didn't trust anyone around there. Now, I drive up there, I don't feel threatened.
Do you think there's any way you could, in association with your brother, come up with the resources where in 6 months you could have both houses in compliance with the code? Rather than talking about 2 years, because that's a long time, especially since we've been dealing with this issue for a long, long time. 6
months to be in complete compliance? We're talking, I mean, you can look at that picture. It's a complete renovation. And even weather-wise, I don't think I could get there in 6 months.
Well, especially with you doing all the work, but if you had some resources where you could contract out some of the work and get some assistance,
Well,
you
the
could move it along pretty quickly.
resources cost money, but, well, the resource is money. So that's, I have to kind of keep the other houses going too, so that I do have some, right now I'm getting $800 a month. That's barely covering my utilities on the houses that are empty, and my gas back and forth, and maybe a couple $100 left over. So it's not much. That's why I'm doing most of the work. But as I get my other houses rentable, money coming in, then
I'm sorry. Let me ask the staff, what happens if the exterior is brought up to code? Are we concerned at this point with the interior?
There are concerns for the interior when Mr. Harrison decides to rent it. But prior to that, the exterior is the concern. Boarded windows, peeling paint, the roof, which you see is, you can just see plywood. There's not even a roof on part of the structure. And Mr. Harrison and I talked about that in June of 2016, my apologies, November of 2016, that the focus needed to be on the exterior of these structures, not the interior. Get the exterior up to where it needs to be, and then, then work on the interior little by little. They can sit there as long as they're clean and secure from the outside and in better condition indefinitely as far as the code is concerned. And then before someone were to rent it, we would need to make sure that it was up to code before someone went through. And that's not usual and customary, but in these two situations, because of the reports that we received from the fire department, upon Mr. Harrison's passing, both the police and fire department, when they went into that structure, they had concerns that there was no flooring, and it actually went all the way down to dirt in some parts of the interior of the house. So for some reasons like that, obviously Mr. Harrison's planning on fixing those issues. We would just need to confirm that it was safe to live in before someone were to do so. But again, it was November of 2016 that he and I discussed that it's the exterior is the main thing that needs to be tackled first before the interior is.
Typically, you fix the exterior first before you do the interior work because you don't want your interior work to be ruined by the exterior weather, accumulation of whatever it may be, whether it's snow, rain, ice, whatever it might be. So we had this conversation back in 16 of December to convey to Mr. Harrison then that to work on the exterior, get it in compliance, and then we'll work around the interior later. But primarily that's what we're shooting for now is the exterior.
Let me throw something out. I think we're stuck in a do loop here where you're going round and round. What would be the possibility of holding in abeyance the fine portion of this and say in 6 months, if it's not, the exterior is not brought up to standards or code, then that will be due, payable immediately, and then whatever else is tacked onto that at that time would come. I don't know if you can do that or not.
Once upon a time, we did that. We changed the code since the time, actually, it was as effective as of January of 17, so we can't keep it open like that. It's just, the timing of it seems to go on and on. I get the idea about it, but that's not something that's within the code at this point in time, and I think the code enforcement folks deal with me. I said 17, I think it's been since 16, January of 16, excuse me, so we're not able to do that anymore.
Have you given any consideration to having these two houses or torn down and try to sell the property? Is the property worth enough to offset the cost that you're going to incur. And my God, one person doing all this work, and you've just got a little bit of revenue from the rent of 2 houses to apply toward that. I think I'd be awfully discouraged.
I don't see it that way. I actually enjoy working and fixing something and then looking at it going, looks a lot better. I enjoy construction work. I enjoy painting. I actually like fixing stuff.
Oh, you've not considered that course of action?
Tearing them down? No, because that wouldn't happen. We could sell them, and then someone's going to come in with a crew and fix it, and then they're going to rent it out. And then they're going to make. So they're going to lowball me on a sale because of the condition, and then they're going to come in with a crew, fix it, and then they're going to rent it out, and they're going to pay that money they spent on it off in about 5 years, and then from then on they're going to be making $5,000 to $6,000 a year profit after their first initial investment, which will pay off in about 5 years.
Couldn't you do that?
Yeah,
Could you not do that?
that is my plan,
Okay.
to get all my properties fixed and then have them income producing, and then from then on, if I want to sell at that point to make my money back or make some profit, or take that money and invest it where, just that's the plan, is to fix the houses
Yeah.
and make some money from them, make them nice houses.
Thank you. Board have any more questions or discussion? Anyone?
So if I have a question to our officers or counselor. If we come up with a final authority tonight, make a definitive decision, then when you come back, how long is it before you guys come back and maybe check it again? Tomorrow, the next day, day after?
Are you saying if you uphold the citation?
In other words, yeah, if we uphold the citation and then he pays the fine, then we're back to square one.
Issue a second citation on the case, without a doubt. And I believe that over the last several years, the board knows that generally I give you the specifics of the case, and I don't really give too much background information other than that. But in my personal opinion, both of these structures, this one and the one we're going to speak about, and none of this is directed at Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison and I have spoken extensively in the past, and I understand the position that he's in. But I have to tell you that these are dangerous, vacant structures that are a blight on the community. And while I understand that people may take 2 years to paint the outside of a house, those houses don't look like this. Those houses don't have boarded windows. They're not vacant. And they have roofs on them. And as James said, the interior of the structure, you can spend all day long in there, but as soon as it rains and snows, you're getting water in there. There's an open hole where there used to be a vent in the gable on the left-hand side of the structure where who knows what animals or elements have gotten in there. And so again, just in my opinion of working that side of town for 2 years and driving past these two houses for 2 years is we had been more than lenient with Mr. Harrison on both of these properties before his passing, and I believe that during our communications with Craig that we've been more than lenient, and leaving these houses like this for 6 months or even 2 years, in my opinion, is just a dangerous blight on the city of Bowling Green.
I drove by the houses
Can I-
today. After reading these, I wanted to see the houses myself. So I personally just drove by for my own benefit to look at them. And that's the reason I made the point a little bit ago. When I said a rebuild, I'm talking a total renovation. And it seems to me, before I put another dime in a house like this, I'd want to know what the total cost is.
Well,
And because you may be better off taking a bulldozer over there and bulldozing those things down, as we just brought up a little bit ago, or because what's going to happen is we're going to make a suggestion here in a little bit to close case, then it's going to be back open again. You're not going to have enough time to be able to fix this before you're going to get another citation. And we're here to try to help you with the best choice. But it's your choice. It's not my home.
well, that house right there has no leaks. From the picture you're looking at, the leaks are in the separate, that last half, which used to be an old store years ago. But the main house, there are no leaks. There's not a leak in that house. The back half, which is the part I'm working on, and there's no animals in there, and there's no animals at the other house. But I'm not gonna, a blight on the community is kind of subjective because there's houses all around there that are in bad shape. But once again, my point is, I didn't create this problem. I'm fixing the problem. So that's really the final word. They're going to be fixed. If you want to fine me, then that's the board's prerogative. But if in 3 years from now or 2 years from now, the houses are going to be fixed and they're going to be rented. So whether you assess fines or not is not going to change what's going to happen in the future from my point of view, except for the fact that I'm going to owe money to the city, which is just going to take away from the profitability that I have from this land.
All righty. Any more discussion? Any comments? Any motions?
Well, I make a motion to uphold the citation and fine in the amount of $803.81.
Have a second?
Second.
All right.
Deere, Dearbone. Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
One more.
sorry, Thomas. I had you marked off because you weren't here earlier. I'm sorry. Thomas.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Harrison, thank you. All righty. Case number 2, 2017-8841, citation 2017-10463.1, 1377th Street, owner Joseph Benjamin Harrison, Derek Harrison, Craig Harrison, and Brad, this one's yours also.
This case is very similar to the other one, so I'll just go over it briefly. But the pictures you see in front of you are from the roaming inspection that was created on the 10th of November. The violations are as follows. Dangerous building as definition of code for vacant structure with broken windows, extensive rotting wood and peeling paint. A vacant structure not maintained in good repair. Fence on the property not maintained in good repair or structurally sound. Multiple broken, boarded, and missing windows. Exterior doors not maintained in good repair or working order. Areas of peeling, flaking, chipping paint, holes in exterior walls, and rotting wood. An accumulation of construction and demolition debris. An accumulation of indoor furniture. A lack of duty of maintenance of private property. A large accumulation of rubbish, garbage, and debris on the property. Scattered garbage on the property, and dilapidated structures. As you see in the pictures there on the screen, this property, again, is characterized by many of the things that we just talked about in the last case. There's a little bit of a difference, which I'll go over here in a moment as far as this case goes, but the pictures that were sent during the notice of violation there was a large accumulation of furniture and debris in the backyard. The fence is dilapidated, missing and broken windows. In fact, one of the front windows has jagged glass hanging out of it that's been like that for several months as well. And the front door used to have 2 padlocks on it. It appears that one was broken off and one is still on there. The back door does not appear to be secured by any sort of mechanism. Notice of violation was sent on that date, which again was the 10th of November. Again, by the city's legal department, due to the probate information we received, it was sent to both Derek and Craig with the additional letter that I read earlier. On the 11th of December, I re-inspected and found that the property was still in violation, so a citation was issued on that date and posted to the property, as well as sent by first-class mail to Craig Harrison and certified mail to Derek Harrison per legal. Again, same as the last case, the second re-inspection was postponed due to the filed appeal. The pictures you see there are from when the citation was posted. Again, it's characterized by extensive peeling, flaking, and chipping paint, broken windows, jagged glass hanging out of some of the windows, holes in the exterior walls and roof structure, deteriorating and decaying wood, unsecured at least back door and somewhat the front door there. You see there's no handle or deadbolt on the door. There's the window that's broken and jagged. It's also important to note that there were 9 code enforcement cases in 2016 and 2017 alone at this property, not just for the condition of the structure, but also for mowing the grass. I have a timeline as well for this property, and again, like I said, there was a little bit of a different situation on this property, so Tim, if you could pull that up. As we discussed on the last one, the property owner, Joseph Benjamin Harrison, was designated as a repeat offender in February of 2016. April 6th of 2016, a case was opened for a vacant abandoned structure and the structural violations. During that time, we issued 3 citations between May and June of 2016. We brought the case in that property in front of you gentlemen, in front of the board, on June 28th of 2016. You at that time had voted unanimously to uphold all of the fees and fines that were issued to that point and an additional $1,200 fee to the property owner. There was still no compliance 2 months later. In August 23rd of 2016, we again brought it before the board, and you unanimously voted for the intent to demolish the structure. September of 2016, we sent letters to all of the lien holders or anyone with an interest in the property to notify them of the intent to demolish the structure. On October 13th of 2016, we received a call from Craig Harrison, who wanted an opportunity to correct the violations to avoid the demolition. James Napper and I spoke with him on the phone, and then I met Mr. Harrison in person to walk around the structure and look at things. We agreed on a 30-day timeline to show significant progress on the structure and avoid demolition. Between October and November, there was some progress. Mr. Harrison got the utilities turned on, added an additional board or 2 to some of the windows on the right-hand side of the building that were otherwise broken. And again, there were minor improvements. Again, December 3rd of 2016 is when the actual owner of the property, Joseph Benjamin Harrison, passed away. So the case went into probate. Again, as with the last case, Craig and I communicated back and forth extensively to try to get the exterior of the property in better shape. In September, the prior case was closed and a new case was opened due to the deterioration of the exterior of the structure and to give Mr. Harrison kind of a clean slate, if you will. At that time, it was unbeknownst to me that the property was actually already out of probate. At that time, I was still under the understanding that it was still in probate. We again were notified on the 8th of November that from the legal department that as of the 24th of August, it had come out of probate. So that case was closed, and another case was opened on the 10th of November, and a notice of violation was sent to Craig and Derek, as well as that separate letter. Citation was issued for no compliance, and here we are today for that appeal. Much like the other case, just a quick recap. As of the 11th of December, when the citation was issued, that was 654 days since that first case was originally started in 2016 when the board decided to demolish the structure due to the exterior of it. 425 days since the 13th of October. 425 days elapsed between the 13th of October when Mr. Harrison and I met and the citation was issued on the 11th of December, and 69 days that this current case has been open.
That be it?
That's enough, yes, sir.
Mr. Harrison, how long has it been since someone has lived in this? I'm sorry.
Well, must remind you, Mr. Harrison, you're still under oath.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go.
How long has it been since someone has lived at this property?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Like I said, I've only started dealing with it last year. So Dad may have had people living in there. I don't know. I know there's a guy, Clyde, who was living there. He helped me put a roof on the house once, but I think he got arrested and sent off somewhere. So I don't know if he had it rented out before that or not.
Just curious, what's the exterior of that house?
That's asbestos, so it'd have to be removed or covered. But You know, that's,
Is that still asbestos I'm looking at there?
those tiles, those are,
Now,
Oh.
that sheet there blocks is asbestos.
those the little square or the little white,
Whatever, see right there's asbestos.
yeah, pretty sure. those
Yeah, I
are-
think so
yeah.
too. Okay.
And it had the old roofing underneath it. I've looked at both these houses extensively. I know what has to be done. It's not, the window was broken by some kids that live in apartments up the street there, the big apartment complex. I've caught 2 or 3 of them over there. I have a couple of names, but, you know, that's squeezing blood from a turnip.
Vacant property.
Yeah, yeah.
So. Any discussion or? Staff, have any comments? Do we have, entertain a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the citation and the fine in the amount of $803.81.
Second that.
Dearbone, Simpson, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder, Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison, we sure hope you have some luck getting something done. We want to help you.
This time.
Thank you. Have a safe trip. All right, case number 3. Case 2017-8988, citation 2017-10817.3, 423 11th Avenue West. Owner Paul and Davida McFarland. And Brad, this is yours. Citation fees is designated as $103.81.
This case is the result of a roaming inspection that was conducted on the 21st of November 2017. During the inspection, I noted that there was an inoperable vehicle on the property, an accumulation of rubbish and garbage outdoor on the property, tire stored outdoors on the property, and a failure to properly dispose of garbage and maintain sanitation on the exterior of the premises. As you see the pictures on the screen there, there's a Jeep that appeared to be wrecked. It was on rims on the front of the vehicle where the tire was still there, but it obviously was flat or damaged. Bags of trash and scattered garbage, as well as the tire that was sitting in the driveway. I sent a notice of violation to the PVA listed owner and address on that date with a compliance reinspection of the 1st of December. On the 27th of November, the property owner sent me a text message saying that he had texted the tenant regarding the vehicle and the tire at the location, and that to me confirmed that he was in receipt of the notice of violation. On the 1st of December, I re-inspected and found that the property was still in violation. The tire had been removed at that time, and the trash and garbage was mostly removed or cleaned up, but the inoperable vehicle was still present with no changes having been made. I left a door hanger you see on the screen there at the location with a note to repair or remove the inoperable vehicle. I also sent a text message back to the property owner letting him know that I had done that and that the property was still in violation. On the 6th of December, I went back to the property. The pictures you see there where the vehicle is still on rims with no changes having been made. Again, I left a second door hanger, underlined the fact that this was the last notice before a citation or fine, wrote the approximate amount of a fine there, and left that at the property. And again, I sent an additional text message to the property owner letting him know that the property was still in violation and I needed his assistance in getting it in compliance. On the 12th of December, I called the property owner several times in another attempt to reach him, finally leaving a voicemail explaining that I needed to communicate with him or get the property in compliance to avoid a fine, as I had no communication or cooperation from anyone for an extended period of time. On the 15th of December, which was 25 days into the case, I again re-inspected and found the property was in violation. I again tried calling the property owner with no response. So after all attempts at voluntary compliance had been exhausted and with really no other option, I issued a citation on that date and posted it at the property, sent it by first class and certified mail to the property owner. Took the photographs you see there in front of you. The vehicle is still being wrecked on rims and not operable. The compliance date listed was the 2nd of January, which was postponed due to the filed appeal. While posting the citation, someone actually did come to the door. I attempted to talk to them and ask them if an adult was home and communicate what was going on, and they slammed the door, and then I continued knocking, and no one would come back to the door. So again, there was not really any communication with anyone. The case was closed on the 2nd of January. I had gone past the property for an unrelated case, and that was 43 days into the case. The vehicle had been moved off of the property and parked along the street, and as of today, is no longer on the street or in front of the property. However, as of today, there is again an accumulation of trash outdoors on the property and scattered garbage.
Mr. McFarland? I need to swear you in, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
First of all, let me say I'm supportive of code enforcement. I'm glad we've got code enforcement, and it would be really bad probably if we didn't have it. I get periodically letters about trash and rubbish, and I always go and try to get that taken care of, and normally there's not any problem on that. Yards to mow and that sort of thing. In this case, there was a vehicle involved. I think when the city first started this program, they would put a notice on the door or give the people notice on the vehicle, and then if they didn't comply after a period of time, they were towing the vehicles off. I sort of have a problem with the vehicles. When I get a notice that there's a vehicle that's in violation, I talk to the people, and in this case, the people said that they were going to get a mechanic and they were going to get the vehicle fixed, and it was licensed. It had a current license on it, but it had a flat tire on the front of it. So I talked to him a couple times. I communicated back with Brad on this and by text, and told him I'd talk to the people. And then we were taking a vacation on December 4th, and we were going on a cruise, so I didn't have my phone active because of the roaming charges on the boat. So when I get back to town on the 15th, I see that Brad has tried to reach me, so I communicate with him again and tell him that I'll go talk to the people again, and I do, and not knowing that he's already sent me a citation with a fine. And so then I do talk to the people, and they get the car fixed and get it out of the drive. The stuff on the rubbish, we took care of that to begin with. I went down there and made sure that the tires were moved and that stuff was gone to begin with on that. And then, I don't know, the cars are just a problem. I don't feel like I should be towing off a person's car that's in the driveway if they're renting the house from me. First of all, most of the time they're really poor people. The car's not running. If they had the money to fix the car, they'd probably be fixing the car to begin with. And if I have it towed off, then that just adds to the problem. So I don't know. I just felt like I shouldn't be fined on this. So I just wanted to have my say on it. And I really think the vehicle thing should be maybe handled in some other way.
Are those people still there, the renters?
Yeah, the people are still in the house, yes.
Okay. How many rental properties do you have, Mr. McFarland? How many rental properties do you have?
I got 46 houses.
46?
Yeah.
How do you handle the other issues with your tenants when they have issues like that, or do your other tenants have issues? Maybe they don't.
Not too often on the vehicles, you know, I mean, they're yard mowing during the
Yeah,
spring,
that's gonna
summers,
happen,
the
yeah.
main issue, and then occasionally a trash issue. But, not too many problems. The vehicle problems are not like they used to be. Of course, the vehicle prices got so high for them to junk them out that a lot of people junked out some of the vehicles. But, so I don't, for what I'm dealing with, I don't really have a large number of issues.
If it helps at all, if there's any consideration given to our interactions with Mr. McFarland, we deal with him extensively through Section 8 tenants as well as multiple properties. And generally, I don't think any of us would ever say that we've ever had any sort of issue. That's why this was so unusual to not be able to get in touch with anyone. And finally, policy just dictates that we had to issue a citation because we kind of ran out of other options. We exhausted everything else. So if that carries any weight, Mr. McFarland, I think we rarely have any issues that aren't resolved quickly. And I think we all work with him on a regular basis, and there are rarely issues that go this long.
In light of his comments, I make a motion that we uphold the citation, but we waive the fine.
I second that.
Thank you.
Wilder, Simpson, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
Thomas.
Don't go on any more vacations.
I may have to notify code enforcement before I leave.
But thank you for helping us with all the other properties you've got, and we do understand
Yeah.
certain situations, and
I just want to say I'm glad I wasn't up here on that other case.
like your shirt, too. All righty, we have no information, no dealings with repeat offenders, and we want to adjourn for a moment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd request a motion to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation.
I move that we go into closed session.
Second.
Dearbone, Thomas, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder, Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I had also talked to our staff before and asked them to stay because I think they needed to hear this too. This those fines at this point in time. She's not appealed those. And we, as a matter of courtesy, have not enforced those against her to let her go through her appeal process. And that's been a courtesy that we've extended to other folks, so we saw no reason to change that pattern, although I'm reaching the point that courtesy has kind of been worn out at this point in time. We have had multiple hearings. We're before Judge John Brown. The unfortunate it has. And we are at this point with her. She no longer has Tom.
No, yes,